We have complete control from clone to final product, which has us the ability to have more regulatory action in all of our affairs. So this is kind of just a quicker, bigger snapshot of what we do. So the very top has us from the cloning stages all the way down to harvest, and then transport all the way to extraction and purification, and then all of the different products that we manufacture in our facility. So some different regulation agencies that have control over us and that work with us is the Colorado Department of Agriculture. We have to be licensed every year and renew our license for each field that we grow. We also work very closely with the Colorado Department of Health and Environment. All of their different agencies all have different regulations that we have to abide by. Fire and Protection has a lot of regulation over us, as well as Jefferson County, where we're located. Our building safety, how we build the departments, how we build the lab, Evergreen Metro District, and then Evergreen Fire and Rescue specifically, again, where we're located. All of the different building codes and standards that we have to abide by, they are very, very strictly held to. So building code, fire code, residential code, fuel gas code, these are all different things that we have to report on an annual basis, abide by certain rules, follow certain documents, submit certain reports, and this is on a yearly and annual basis. All of our personnel has to do specific training, again, to abide for certain regulations. So managers and above have to be certified in OSHA General Industry and OSHA HAZWOPER, which is the chemical safety aspect of it. Everyone is CPR and first aid certified, and we all have to have specific fire training and education. These are just websites that you can look to if you have any more questions on those. So for our grow department, again, we're having just under 600 acres this year. We have 3 different strains, and we'll do about 21,000 square foot greenhouse for all of our cloning procedures. And we do a gravity flow system versus a center pivot. So the center pivot is like your general water wheel system. We go with a gravity flow irrigation system, which uses soil borders, furrows, and ditches in order to allow gravity to distribute the water that way. The pros of this is it's cheap, easy, it does the job it needs to, but is that me? Sorry. Obviously the cons, it can result into a lot of more water loss versus the other one, but it's easier to maintain on our side. So in Colorado, we are registered as an industrial hemp. So industrial hemp is very separate from marijuana in the States. The biggest rule to this is all of our plants have to be under 0.3% THC on a dry weight basis. So this is heavily tested and heavily regulated. We have to renew all of our licenses every year. Even if we're growing in the exact same field that we were the previous year, we have to renew every year. We have to, we're subject to testing, where the CDA will actually come out and test all of our plants for the THC potency. And if any of our plants test over 0.3%, then our crop is destroyed. So this is a typical registration that we do every year. So the registration includes all of our contact information, the partner information, as well as the field information, where we have to submit exact latitude and longitude points, and we have to submit a map of our field. We have to submit a pre-planning report that will tell the CDA what strains we're planning to plant in what areas of the field. We then have to submit a harvest notification report 30 days before we plan to harvest, and what this does is that triggers the inspection and the testing of the CDA for all of our plants. And then once harvest is done, we have to submit another report onto that. So as you can see, the CDA has lots of control over how we do things, what we plant, and when we're allowed to harvest. This is a typical registration of what it looks like. So this was one of our fields that we did for this year. So it just has the address, the registration number, and then the size and the acres and the square footage of whatever you're planting. So again, we do work very closely with state regulations. So this was a tour that we did with the CDPHE, where they came out to our greenhouse to make sure that how we're doing things follows certain code and that we're doing things within regulation. We also work with organic certification for our grow, so we do have fields that are certified organic, so I just kind of want to touch a little bit on that. A quick summary of what you have to have in place. So the land has to be free from pesticides and prohibited substances for at least 3 years. You have to have distinct defined boundaries between your fields. So if you have a field that has different crops, you have to have very distinct boundaries for the organic process to be allowed. You can't have any methods of soil contamination, and you have to, so like cover crops is a great example of that. Crop rotation also has to be implemented. So if you have one field that's certified for hemp, you can't grow organic hemp the next year. You have to have it in a different field because you have to rotate your crops every single year. You also have to have a pest management system, and you have to have records of all of these different things for the past 5 years, and they have to be available immediately upon request. Our extraction process all the way through purification, so this is taking the plant material all the way to our raw oil and our isolate. Again, this is all done in-house. So our extraction method is a CO2 extractor. So the reason we went with this is the flammability concern is gone, which makes fire department very happy. It's a much cleaner solvent. We're able to remove it all from our plant material. And CO2 machines are the only engineer peer-reviewed machines in the States currently, and you have to have a peer-reviewed machine in order to do extractions in Colorado. We also have to have specific alarms. So we have a CO2 alarm that is set to go off at different ppms of CO2 per the fire department code. So at 5,000 ppm, it sets off one code. At 8,000 ppm, it sets off another alarm. And then if it goes above 8,000, it actually triggers the fire department to come out to our building to make sure that everything is okay. We have to have very specific signage throughout our entire building. So this is what's known as the NFPA diamond. It's separated into 4 categories: your health hazard, fire hazard, specific hazard, and then instability. All categories are rated from 0 to 4 on what safety they have. You have to have an NFPA diamond that is visible from up to a quarter mile away, posted on the outside of the building so that fire department, police, they all know what they're walking into when they come to an alarm. Other various signage that we have to have throughout our building. We are certified GMP and as a food manufacturer, so we have to have specific signage as to what PPE you have to wear throughout the building. We have to have our CO2 alarm on the outside of the extraction room as well as on the inside. For all of our chemicals have to be stored very specifically. So the picture on the left shows our H room, which is a hazard room. So this room has to have double concrete walls with fire-resistant ceilings, and it has to be vented. So all of our chemicals are stored in this room in flammable solvent cabinets. And then any of the solvents that we have to chill or freeze have to be in freezers that are rated for chemical solvents as well. So all of our freezers are rated. The water and wastewater was also a challenge for us. We had to put in place a upgraded backflow, which basically it keeps the water in our building separate from the water in the rest of the county. So if there was ever an accident where chemicals went down the drain or any residual product went down the drain, it would actually stop the flow from going through the rest of the county. We also had to put in place a SOP where we're not allowed to put residual product down the drain. So any of our containers that have oil or isolate in it, we actually have to wash with hot water outside of the regular water flow, and that goes into non-hazardous waste that's picked up by a specific company. For our hazardous waste, we have to store them very correctly. So you have to register for what's known as an EPA number, and basically this allows the state to track how much hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste you are accumulating each year. Along with that, you have to have specific companies that will pick up the hazardous waste. You're not allowed to dispose of it of yourself. And again, all records have to be here for at least 5 years. We have to have records of pickup, transportation, all of that kind of stuff. More safety throughout the building. You have to have a hazardous material spill kit. So in case chemicals spill on the ground, you have to have all of this in place to make sure that, again, no residual product or chemicals leave your building and get into any of the water systems surrounding you. We have to have emergency eye wash stations in all of our departments, again, for chemical safety. So If anything were to splash into any of our employees' eyes, they immediately have a way to rinse that out. And we have to have a certain number of fire extinguishers within each department. So extraction, you have to have extinguishers within each range of each extractor, as well as all the freezers and all of our equipment. We have to have SDS sheets, also known as MSDS sheets, located in each department. And we have to have first aid centers within each different department, and we have to dispose of broken glass in very specific ways. So PPE, personal protective equipment, all of our lab techs have very specific PPE that is required. Every department is required to wear safety glasses and steel-toed shoes, as well as the food manufacturing PPE, so a hairnet, beard cover, and shoe covers are required in each department. The lab and fulfillment is required to wear lab coats, and then in extraction you're required to wear an overall system. We also had to implement a respiratory protection program while we were installing our C1D1 exhaust hoods. So per OSHA, if you do not have easily accessible ways to clean the air, you have to put this in place. Employers are responsible for providing the respirators at no cost to their employees. We also have to provide medical evaluations before they're allowed to be fit tested. They have to be fit tested then by a certified employee, and then they're allowed to wear respirators. And all of this has to be provided to the employees at no cost. So this is just a quick flow chart of how you decide if you have to implement a respirator protection program. We also had to implement a no drug and alcohol policy. There is that negative stereotype attached to this industry, unfortunately. So in order to get approved, we had to show the state that we do not tolerate intoxication while at work. So we have signage throughout our entire building that there is absolutely no drugs and no alcohol allowed while at the workplace. So our fulfillment department takes all of our raw ingredients, so our raw oil, our isolate, and turns it into all of our finished products. So at Revivid, we make tinctures, vapes, topicals, soft gels, gummies, and then all of our dab wax and isoterp. So as far as the regulation for Colorado, so in Colorado, we were the first state to recognize hemp as a food product. So industrial hemp and all of its derivatives are considered food ingredients by the state of Colorado. So we actually registered as a food manufacturing facility versus dietary supplements or an actual drug. In order to sell CBD within Denver, you also had to go through the process of being registered as an approved CBD source. So what this entailed was having inspections done by the state showing that we have a clean facility, that we have proper SOPs in place, we have a GMP facility, and that we're able to track everything from beginning to end. So we also had to test our products for shelf stability. So this shows how long a product is stable for from the day that it's made. And we also had to show that all of our critical control points were hit so we can be assured that there's no microbial or anything like that in any of our products. Complete product traceability is very, very important in the food manufacturing facility. So what this means is we have to be able to track everything from the very, very beginning to the very, very end. So from the grow side, we have to be able to say what strain was planted on what date in what area of the field, the day it was harvested, all of the test results from that plant material, all the way to the day that it was transported. And then from the lab, we have to be able to track the date that we ran it through the extractor, which extractor we ran it through, the bag that we ran, the test results that we had for that plant material, all of our results from that extraction, so the weight of the extract, the results of the extract, all the way down to purification, to when we turned the oil into isolate, again, testing of everything, the date into inventory, all of our results. And then for fulfillment, we have to be able to track the ingredient that we used, the lot number of all the ingredients that we use, so all of our MCT and flavorings. And then every product and byproduct is given an internal lot number to allow this to happen. So the plant material has a lot number, the extract has a lot number, the oil has a lot number, and then our finished product has a lot number. We are also certified organic for the processing. So a quick summary of how this works is you have to have certified organic ingredients and chemicals or solvents. So for example, if you were to use ethanol for your winterization process, you have to have certified organic ethanol. You have to have separate and secure storage for all of the different processes that you go. So our organic plant material has to be in a different storage container than our non-organic plant material. Our organic solvents have to be stored in different containers than our non-organic solvents. Organic ingredients have to be stored separately, all of that. And you have to be able to prove that as well and have documentation for that. For organic labeling, USDA can charge up to $11,000 per package that you have. So if you have 500 boxes that say you're organic but you're not organic, you can actually get charged $11,000 for every single one of those 500 boxes. A certifying agent that you work through to get your organic certification should review all of your labels and marketing. And the biggest thing that seems to be missed is that they have a 3-click away rule. So anything that links to your website within 3 immediate clicks is considered your responsibility. And all of that marketing and all that information has to match up. So if there's any mislabeling, then you can actually get charged that same $11,000, even if it's not on your direct website or label. There's 4 categories of organic products, or 100% organic, organic, made with organic, and then specific organic ingredients. All of these have different regulations and different rules of how much of your product has to be certified. So for example, you're 100% organic, every single product and ingredient within that has to be certified. Versus if you do made with organic, only 1 or 2 of those, and then obviously you can just have a specific organic ingredient. Other certifications that we have put in place is kosher, so our oil and our isolate are certified kosher. We are working on the certification for non-GMO, and then we have 4 different ISOs, which are international standards. So 9001, 22000, 14001, and 17025 are all ISO certifications that we're working on right now. This is just a picture of our Revivid family from our fields last year. And then one thing that we're able to do by working with regulation agencies is that we are able to work with different athletes and stuff. So this is one of our athletes that we have on board with us right now with our Revivid Sport line. And that's all. Thank you.